Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Rich House. We really appreciate you coming out to see Travis today. Let's get around. I'm your first introductory person. I'm here to welcome you to the college and also let you know that this event is sponsored by the Quality of Life Grant through the Division of Arkansas Heritage in partnership with UARM and our Lifelong Learning organization. And so this is my time to advertise our Lifelong Learning classes. We're reinvigorating this program, so please, if you're interested in taking any classes on campus, take a look at those Lifelong Learning classes. Okay, that's enough advertising. I'm going to introduce Bethany Hughes. She is the president of Quality of Life, and she's going to tell you all about Travis.
Travis Ulmer is the Chief Creative Officer at Cannonball, an advertising agency based in St. Louis, Missouri, with over 50 employees and a diverse roster of clients, including Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Bad Boy Mowers, and St. Louis Children's Hospital. Travis began his career as a copywriter and continues writing for his clients while overseeing Cannonball's overall creative process and product. His creative work and that of his team has been awarded across the globe by the likes of Clio's, the American Advertising Awards, the National Sports Forum, and Mid-American Emmys, where he's won 5 Emmys across branded documentary and brand campaign categories. Ulmer was born and raised in Mena, Arkansas, and is a graduate of Mena High School, where he played basketball, participated in student government, and wrote for the Fairfax newspaper. He is a graduate of the University of Missouri Journalism School, which has been long recognized as the top journalism program in America. Travis currently lives in St. Louis with his wife of 19 years, Emily, and their 4 children. So we're super excited for all of y'all to get to listen to Travis. So here he is.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me today. It's really an honor to be here. For you 8th grade students, it's an honor to get you out of class this morning. I'll stretch this out as long as I can, guys. We'll try to really get you out as long as possible. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with my mom and dad, my wife, Emily, our kids, Owen, Molly, Jack, and Lucy. So it's really, I'm excited to be talking to you today about a lot of things. I'm actually going to start by playing a video for you. Bethany mentioned I work at Cannonball. It's an advertising agency in St. Louis where I lead a creative team of writers and graphic designers. And this video will kind of give you a taste of the sort of work we do. It's a little echoey in here, so just... Our team of writers and art directors work on all of these kind of things. That was mostly motion work, like TV commercials and videos, but we do print advertising, we do digital advertising, social media content, all kinds of different things. But my goal today is not to really sell you on advertising. My main purpose today is really to talk to the students in the room, but thank you for everybody else who came as well, and please listen along. But my main purpose is to talk to you guys, really about what it's like to be in high school and not knowing what you're doing next, right? When I was your age, I had no idea that the job I have now existed. I didn't know what it was. In fact, I had a lot of different things I was interested in, and we're going to talk about those things today and kind of see how it did or didn't take me to my future career. So let's get started. A lot of people like to say, I'm sure you're wondering, like, what does Mena like like in the 80s and 90s? Now, a lot of the people in this room can actually answer that question. Yesterday, I talked to the high school at Mena High School, and there was 400 kids who had no idea. They weren't born when I was in high school. So, same with you guys. So, what was Mena and Akron like in high school back in the 80s and 90s? It really was a lot like the show Stranger Things. If any of you kids watch Stranger Things, it was like it. This was pre-internet, okay? We were going to the video store, getting videos. We were, the way you browse the Netflix library catalog, we were just walking aisles over and over and over again. We still drove around all over the place just looking for stuff to do. But we, rode around on our bikes before we could have cars and all that kind of stuff. So if you watch this show, outside of the Demogorgons and threat to humanity from the upside down, it was a lot like what my childhood was like. When I was there, we were obsessed with movies like Top Gun, Jurassic Park. I remember seeing that in the theater for the first time. Indiana Jones was a big part of my childhood. This is kind of how we grew up. So clearly a lot has changed. But at the same time, not that much has changed. Top Gun, Jurassic Park, and Indiana Jones are still like at the top of the box office the last 2 years, right? So when you're listening to me today, hopefully I don't seem too old. Some of the things I say can still be relatable to you, and our childhoods aren't that different. All right, so let's start in high school. We'll kind of go through who I was and how that might prophesize the job I would have one day. And spoiler alert, it did not prophesize the job I would have one day, okay? So first thing, I played basketball. Basketball was a big part of my childhood. I see Marilyn Davenport here today. That's her daughter on my lap right there. That's a good friend of mine through high school. We had a great team. We actually won the region my senior year. I played basketball all through elementary school, middle school, high school. My best friend Bo, whose parents are here today as well, we played together. We had a good season. It was a lot of fun. It was a big part of who I was. I love basketball. I still do. I get to coach my son's team right now, and I coach my other kids as well. I'm not an NBA player, okay? So that's not where I was going with basketball. I mowed yards. This is pretty reflective of how I mowed yards. I see a few former clients in here who will probably vouch for me, actually. But I had a business where I mowed yards throughout the town. It was actually really worked well with my basketball schedule because I could go to practices when I needed to and I could mow when I needed to. But I am not a professional landscaper. I only mow my own yard now, and I do it for free. I will say my son, though, has picked this up, and he now mows yards all through Saturday, so that's kind of cool. When I wasn't mowing yards after my senior year and then my freshman year of college, I worked at Walmart. This is when the best days of Walmart were still happening. Had a good experience there in the toy department, the lawn and garden department. One of my favorite things to do was actually to get on the PA announcement and do like bad celebrity impressions to sell the toys and get people to come over to the section. And I thought I was going to get fired. I didn't, luckily. But regardless to say, I wasn't Walmart management material. I watched a lot of movies, like a whole lot of movies. I see Mark and Kathy met from here. I watched probably 1 million movies on their couch with their son Bo. Like at my house, I just watched movies all the time. I was obsessed with them. We would rent everything we possibly could. Lots of good movies, lots of bad. I'm not in Hollywood. That's not where I went. In fact, when I was in high school, my neighbor Kay, who's here today, she worked in Hollywood. She would come home and I would hear these stories of the movie set she was on. I got so excited about it. So that was something I was really interested in and maybe doing one day, but that's, alas, not where it led me. I was in the Mena High School senior play. I also performed some in Washita Little Theater. I'm not sure if any of you have done some theater things. I know some of the adults in the room have. And that was a big part of my childhood as well. We did a senior play every year in Mena that was a really cheesy melodrama. That's me with a fake mustache because I couldn't grow my own. So we had a great experience there, but I'm not on Broadway. That's not where that led me either. I did write for the student newspaper, the Bearfax. I wrote a humor column. I got to write sports. I wrote film reviews, and I had a really great experience there. I don't think there even is a print version of this anymore. But this was a big part of my childhood, learning how to write. But alas, I'm not a journalist. I'm not in print journalism. That's not where I ended up going. Let's go back. Music. I love music. This is some throwback stuff that many of you in the room are older than and younger than. But there's a few of you that might be my age in the sweet spot. Tony, my friend Tony's here. He might agree. But lots of grunge back in the day, some hip hop. Love music. I played the piano as well. So I was into music. I really enjoyed music. I'm not a musician. And that's not where things led either. And then towards the end here, I was a comedy nerd. I loved comedy. I watched every Saturday Night Live sketch I could get my hands on. I watched the old ones, the new ones. I loved late night talk shows, David Letterman, Conan O'Brien. I would love the sketches they would do on those shows. I was super obsessed with it, stand-up comedy. Comedy is not my forte. I went into, I think in 8th grade, I did like a 2-minute stand-up sketch bit for a special project, and it played okay, but that was the end of my stand-up career. So, what now? Look at this handsome young man, right? Pensive, thinking about where am I going to go next in life. I was a senior in high school. What am I going to do? Am I going to start a landscaping business? Am I going to keep working at Walmart? They have a good management path. I didn't really think that was for me. I love movies, but I want to try to go to Hollywood. Basketball, I didn't have the skills, but maybe I could get into coaching, right? Love music. Is that a path? Do I go into writing? Do I try to go into theater or comedy? All these things were in my mind. And I'm hoping a lot of you students now are thinking, yeah, I have a lot of stuff I like to do. I don't really know what I should pursue or if any of it even is relatable to a job. So I just try to get a job somewhere and try to make a little money, right? I want to do something in this path. So I didn't really know what to do. And I had some good advice from my parents. And I encourage you to seek advice too. You have advice you can get from people here at the college, from your counselors at school. If it's not your own parents, maybe it's some family friends. But just ask people about this. I encourage you to do that. And I'll tell you the advice my parents gave me, which was just start somewhere, right? You got a lot of things you're interested in. Let's start somewhere. Let's make sure it's something you're kind of good at and that you definitely like, and see where it takes you, right? Don't worry about how much money you're going to make or any of that kind of stuff. Just find something you enjoy. Make sure you're not bad at it, right? And then see if you can pursue that a little bit. So I did. And that actually led me back to journalism. That's where I decided to start. Of all those 9 different things, I started here. I thought, okay, I really like writing. I think I'm okay at writing. It's fun to go. I don't really want a desk job. I like to go places where I can watch football games and write about it, or go watch a movie and write about it, or see what's happening in the world and write about it. We had a great program at the school, and so my parents said, let's start looking around. There's actually programs, journalism programs, you can go to college and learn about. That was an opportunity for me. I know college isn't an opportunity for everybody, but if you work with the counselors here at the school, at your own schools, I think you can help find some scholarships. In fact, that helped me find a scholarship to get me in-state tuition. I looked at University of Central Arkansas, I looked at Washington Baptist University, several other schools in Arkansas. Ultimately, I decided to go to a different school, the University of Missouri in Columbia. They have a really good journalism program, and I was able to get an in-state scholarship, which made it more affordable and able to go. So Mizzou's a great school. I really enjoy it. I know not all Razorback fans love Mizzou. My allegiances have switched a little bit, but I still root for the Razorbacks, I promise. There you go. Thank you. Don't worry, I still have some love there. But the journalism school is great. They taught me how to write, and I kind of get into it. So when I went to Mizzou and got to the journalism school, I thought I wanted to be a film critic, right? Now this makes sense. This is 2 of the things I was passionate about. I loved movies, was fascinated by movies, understood them, watched a million of them, and I like to write. I thought I could be the next Siskel and Ebert. For those, a lot of you in this room get that reference. Yesterday, I think a lot of the kids were over their heads. Some of you students were like, who are those old guys? They were like the premier movie critics at the time. They had a TV show. You can go watch some of their clips on YouTube. It's actually pretty funny because they were great. They were entertaining. They would talk about movies and what was good about them, what was bad about them, why you should watch it, why you shouldn't. And I thought, I can do that. That would be great. And so I did. I got a job at the student paper, and I got to go review movies. They paid for me to see movies for free, and then I wrote about them. I saw a lot of really bad movies. I saw a lot of really good movies, and it was a fun time. But I quickly realized that I didn't want to be a film critic, right? I tried it. I did it for over a year. And after a while, I kind of got tired about writing about other people's creativity, right? I would go watch this movie. I remember it was 1999, so I saw movies like The Sixth Sense and Fight Club. And I was like, these are movies I've never seen anything like before. They're really inspiring. I'm just writing about it. I kind of wanted to do something creative, but I wasn't sure what it was. I knew I didn't really want to go out and do the Hollywood thing and try that. I didn't really know what I should do, but I knew writing about movies wasn't for me anymore. And that's when I discovered copywriting. So I was walking the halls in the journalism school one day, and I saw this wall, and it had all these print ads on it. And students were making these print ads, right? Simple little lines where it was like selling something with a headline, with a copy line. So for example, the really, really clever one was for a vacuum cleaner company. And it just said, "We suck." I'm like, okay, I can do that. That's not hard. I can figure that out. I can do stuff like that for a living, make dumb little jokes for a career. That sounds perfect. So I learned more about it. I learned about the program, and there was actually a guy there. He made the old Budweiser Rocks commercials and some other things. He was a professor there, and he was teaching students to be writers like he was. So I took his class, several other classes. I built a portfolio, and I'll give you a little background on what a copywriter really is. Some of you may have watched the show Mad Men. It's a few years old, but it did a really good job. The 2 main characters were copywriters. They became creative directors like I am now, but their job is literally to write the words in a commercial. So when you see a commercial, they write the script. They come up with the idea. They write the words that people say, or the voiceover announcer says. If you see a billboard, they write the words on the billboard. You see a print ad, they write the words on the print ad. What's the message? So people who know how to communicate think about messaging, and come up with ideas that stand out a little bit and entertain people for 5 seconds, 30 seconds at a time. That's kind of what I was learning how to do. So, I won't go into the long story of how I got my first job and all that, but I got a job down the street from Columbia, 2 hours away in St. Louis at an ad agency there. So I was able to get a job. All the stuff I learned kind of prepared me for that. That's actually my wife I met in college, and she was from St. Louis. And over the years, I've actually gotten to write for a lot of brands. I worked at 2 ad agencies in my life. The first one for about 9 years, the one I'm at currently for about 11 years. And I've gotten to write for probably 40 or 50 different brands. There's just a few of the ones that kind of show you the range. Enterprise Car Rental, you'll see some stuff from them later today. Bad Boy Mowers, they also have tractors and several other products. I work on them now. Farmland, bacon and pork products. Pabst Blue Ribbon, Edie's Ice Cream, St. Louis Children's Hospital, St. Louis City SC. I don't know if we have any soccer fans in the room. There's St. Louis's Major League Soccer team that we got last year. And as a sports guy, that was kind of a dream assignment. We got to name the team, brand the team, design their logos, their color palette, all that kind of stuff. And then there's some not so exciting brands like Pepsi. I worked on Pepsi for like 2 years. So I learned way more about heartburn. We also work on some anti-diarrheal medicines, like Imodium. So it's not all glamorous, but that's part of the job. You learn how to write for everything, right? So what's really cool is it's not just the brands I've got to write for. When you work for those brands, they have sponsorships, they have partnerships, they have things they do with affiliated programs through like Major League Baseball, the NFL, the Olympics, NCAA, NBA, NHL, NASCAR. And then, like, for example, with Enterprise, they do a lot of music promotions and partnerships. So I've got to shoot videos within commercials with One Republic. I actually got to go to Zach Brown's house and shoot at his farm with him and interview him and talk with him. And they wanted us to throw axes with him. That's like Zach Brown's thing. He has an axe throwing room, so we did that a little bit. So really unique opportunities. Movies like Star Trek and Transformers as well, with the movie partnerships and tie-ins for them. So again, that's a big part of the job. I don't know, and professional bull riding. I don't know if we have any PBR fans in here, but we do all the branding for one of the PBR teams out of Kansas City, so that's been a really fun, unique experience as well. So I'm going to get into all this, and again, I promise, this is not just to sell you on advertising or what advertising is. I'm just trying to kind of set the context for you a little bit. We're going to get back to more of the high school stuff in a minute and how that played into everything. Quick crash course on how advertising works. It's more complex than this. This is the basics, right? So in advertising, you start with a client or a brand. So we'll say it's Enterprise Rental, right? They give you a brief or an assignment. So we need to do a commercial over March Madness that's going to promote our brand and connect it to basketball. That's the assignment. There's research and insights. They'll come back and say, our audience feels this way about sports, and they feel this way about our brand. They respond to creative work that's funny or inspiring or heartwarming. We have that kind of data and feedback that they give to us. We form kind of a creative strategy of how we want to approach it. There's a media plan where they say, these are all different jobs, by the way. These are people who have different talents, people who love numbers into the media plans. And they say, we should definitely do TV commercials or social media posts or things like that. And then it's really my job. My team gets involved with the creative idea. So we get to come up with what's the big idea that's going to stand out, get people's attention, be fun, be exciting, be different, be powerful. And then how do we execute it? And that's the fun part of where you get to kind of do, the mini Hollywood thing. You go make a 30-second commercial, you film it. You work with really good directors and cinematographers and camera people. You work with photographers who do still photography. And you go out and you produce it, you make the thing, and then you edit it together, and then you put it out in the world. And then the really scary part where they measure it, and the data nerds come back and say, hey man, that commercial looked really cool. Nobody watched it, they didn't like it, they hit skip after 5 seconds every single time, right? Like, those are the things we find out. Or the opposite, people loved it, they clicked it, they went to the website and they rented a car, or they bought a mower, or whatever it may be. So that's a big part of the process as well. So that's a little bit about the advertising process. I'll try to bore you any more about that. You're thinking, yeah, show us some examples, man. We need videos again. We're good. So let's start. The first assignment I'm going to walk you through that we got is for Enterprise. And this was actually for the Olympics, okay? This was happening about 2016. Enterprise, everybody knows them as the brand that rents you cars, right? But actually, Enterprise offers a lot more than that. They offer car sales, car share services, trucks, and they actually decided to buy that media plan I talked about, a nightly Olympics spot for 14 straight days. So every night of the Olympics, millions of Americans were going to see this commercial we had to come up with, okay? And they really wanted it to be bold, breakthrough, big. It had to stand out because a lot of Olympics commercials are really good and people are watching them. They want to make sure that they stood out. So when I heard the words big, bold, and breakthrough, all these things from high school kind of flooded back and met for the moment to come up with an idea. My love for theaters need to be theatrical, big, right? Movies, it should be cinematic and bold, kind of like the words they gave us in the brief. And comedy, because I know one of the things that will kind of pop out in moments like this is a few jokes here and there. So they all came together for the moment, and our team got together, and we actually had an idea we called One Giant Rollout. And it all started with the idea of what if we showed all the vehicles Enterprise rents or sells or you can share, and we kind of treat it like a Russian nesting doll. So if you don't remember what a Russian nesting doll is, it's like, you know, you gotta earn an egg, right? You have the egg, big egg, you take it apart, there's another egg, take it apart, there's another egg. What if we did that with cars, right? You start with a truck, then there's an SUV, then there's a van. And what if in each one of those there's a person, and he's the same guy every time. He represents different things you need in life, right? He's many different things that the brand offers. So that was kind of the idea. We sold it in, and this is how it ultimately ended up. So you can see how the idea we talked about on the page, and I can show there's a long process of a script and how we take that to boards and designs to ultimately get that sold in, but that's where it ended up. We're really happy with it, and it performed well. The measurement said it did very, very well. People really remembered it and liked it. So we actually had to do another one the next year. That actor's name is Joel McHale. Some of you may recognize him from this TV show Community. He was in a lot of other things. We pitched him as the spokesperson because we liked his charm and his personality, and he was great to work with. This next one is a commercial we did the next year to kind of keep this message going. Now talking about how Enterprise does all those things. Plus, when your car's in an accident and you need a rental replacement, Enterprise is the perfect place to call.
My car's about to need some work. But Enterprise is always there to help. I can rent a car and Enterprise picks me up. I can commute with my coworkers or fly Enterprise car sales. I can even rent a truck for a project where I'm probably in over my head. Enterprise has you covered. Trust me, I'm an actor. How can Enterprise pick you up today?
So my job with that was to write the script. So all those words he said I wrote, all the scenes I wrote, like next we see this, next we see this, right? That was really fun. We actually got to work with some of the Fast and Furious stunt driving teams to do those stunts. Those were real stunts we did. We wrecked that car. It was a really nice little car. I felt bad destroying it. It was really fun. So we get a lot of opportunities like that. We shot, the first one you saw, we shot out in Death Valley, the big open stretch of road. That's when we shot in Los Angeles. So, all right, moving on. Let's go to farmland. So, farmland bacon. This was a really easy assignment. They said, sell more bacon during the holidays. It's that simple. We just want to sell more bacon during Christmas time. Deliver an idea that will stand out, be memorable, and make people think of farmland bacon all December long. So for this one, and really my influence for this came from all those years I had watching Saturday Night Live. The idea of characters, the idea of funny people who can stand out and get you to pay attention. Farmland wasn't really a funny brand. They were more about selling bacon and just getting you to want to eat pork. But we thought, what if we kind of did this one window a little differently and stood out for some humor? What if we actually show Santa in a different light? So the idea was bacon for Santa. This year Santa wants something besides milk and cookies. And let's show Santa Claus a little differently than people have seen him.
Is this a YouTube? Well, here's the deal. For years, you guys have left me cookies and milk, and obviously I've enjoyed them very much. Now, I'm not complaining. It's just that little Santa here likes other things too.
was a really fun one to shoot. We hired this actor who's a kind of a character actor out of Chicago. He reminded me like he could have been one of Bill Murray's brothers, right? Like he just had that vibe. So we wrote the script. He brought a lot of performance to it. And this campaign was bigger than just that video. We put that video out into the world, put a lot of money behind it so people could see it. But we also did this promotional overlay. So every time somebody actually posted a picture on social media with the hashtag bacon for Santa, and people did this a lot, they posted pictures of them putting out bacon for him instead of milk and cookies, or with the milk and cookies. And every time somebody did that, we made a donation to Feeding America. On top of that, we had a custom ugly Christmas sweater that was Santa Claus with a bacon strip. Super weird, but people loved it and bought those, and we also gave those away as prizes. So, very fun campaign. And again, all those years, people may have said, we're wasting time just watching Saturday Night Live episodes. It kind of informed me of that, right? All right, back to the ribbon. This is the next one. And I can see teachers and people worry right away, oh no, he's going to talk about when he used to drink in high school, and that's what influences this idea. That's not where I'm going, I promise. Everybody relax. Didn't do that in high school. But Pabst Blue Ribbon, okay? They are kind of like one of the smaller brands in the beer category, right? Bud Light's one of the bigger ones, Coors Light, Miller Lite. Pabst Blue Ribbon was like, you can't really stand out at retail. We want to have a holiday and we can sell our product like 4th of July, Memorial Day, the big holidays when people go buy this stuff. We can't do that. We can't compete with those companies. Is there a holiday we can own? Is there something we can do? So really my Walmart experience came into play, right? All those years I worked in Walmart, I saw these kind of promotions. I saw these displays when I was walking the aisles. Things where you go walk down and you see Halloween promotions all over the place, right? What's a holiday they can own that people didn't celebrate? So I started thinking, what are the things I've never seen? What are the holidays I've never seen promoted before with any brand ever? And the idea came to me, what if we celebrate Arbor Day, the holiday for trees? And we can name it PB Arbor Day. Super stupid wordplay that was a lot of fun to me. So we had a whole campaign called PB Arbor Day. The tagline was simple, go drink a beer in the woods. So on Arbor Day, buy Pabst Blue Ribbon, go out in the woods, and have a beer. That was the idea, for people who are 21 and older, of course. So we had a whole campaign around it. We did a canned sleeping bag, we had tents, we had giveaway tote bags, and displays all over the stores, and people loved it. It really became a big deal on social media. People were posting pictures and saying things like, how have I never heard of PB Arbor Day? It's my new favorite holiday. Like inviting their friends to get together on Arbor Day and go out camping, things like that. So it was a lot of fun. So again, all those years working in Walmart, I didn't know that I was kind of gaining this experience and this knowledge that would come into play later on. All right, next one, Bad Boy Motors. So Bad Boy is a company based in Batesville. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of them. They're actually the nation's leading zero-turn mower. They've been the fastest growing, and they've been a really fun brand. And they came to us, and they're like, hey, we've always been kind of small and grassroots. And in fact, a lot of their commercials felt kind of like monster truck ads. They go on a deep dive on YouTube, that's mostly what you'll see. And they're like, we need to kind of step up our reputation a little bit and feel more like a national brand. So they came to us and said, how can we do that? Make us feel bigger, more relevant, more national. Just keep our mow with an attitude tagline. That's the one thing they really told us to keep. So, of course, my years of mowing lawns came into play, right? Like, I mowed all those yards. I had many times where I kind of know the mindset of somebody who's just mowing yards all the time. And sometimes you start to think of it more as this thing you're doing that's kind of fun. It's kind of part of your identity, right? And I also, my experience growing up in Mena, knowing a lot of you who have property where you want to have a product like this. So we had this idea. We call it the heart of the Bad Boy, right? Bad Boy is all about attitude. What if we elevate Bad Boy to be more of a lifestyle brand? What that means is there's other brands you've seen like this, you just maybe don't know it, but brands like Coca-Cola, Yeti is a really strong example of a lifestyle brand. Brands where the commercials aren't just about the product themselves, they're talking more about the feeling you have when you buy that product, when you use that product. So our thought was, Bad Boy makes great mowers, but buying a Bad Boy says something about who you are and what matters to you in life. It's your attitude. That's what it's about. That's what mowing the attitude means. So the campaign should be aspirational and showcase the heart of people who buy Bad Boy mowers and then the careers they choose and the way of life they live. So that's what we did with this first commercial. I'm going to show you that now.
Tell us we can't, and we'll prove you wrong. Knock us down, and we get right back up. Call us prison pickers, misfits, bad boys. But we know what we want. It feels like American muscle. Looks like advanced engineering. It smells like fresh, cut grass. Bad boy, mow with an attitude.
So you can see there, right? Like you see these people who are living this kind of heroic lifestyle and language like, tell us we can't, we'll prove you wrong. right? That's kind of the attitude that this brand is about. We want people to say, okay, that's how I feel about life. Not just on my lawnmower, but life. I'm tired of people telling me what I can't do, and that kind of mindset and value system. And we kind of played into that with that boy. And it's been working very well. They continue to grow, and in fact, they became the leading brand in the category of zero-turn mowers. So they wanted to do a whole commercial, and we said that they should as well, that talks about being a leader. What's it mean to be a leader? What's it mean to keep pushing forward, even though you kind of reached a place where your goal was? What's it mean to keep going forward? So that's kind of where this next brand comes in, or this next thought comes into play.
Where have we gone? What hasn't been done? What's still left to be discovered? Impossible beyond the horizon. How can we continue pushing limits, breaking boundaries, and leading the way? It's not just about finding the answers. It's about the pursuit. This is who we are. This is what we do. Bad boy, Mo with an attitude.
So we got to do that one out in Colorado, and that was a really fun shooting to do. We worked with a national mountain climber, we worked with an Olympic kayaker. She was the one who was in those class 5 rapids and all that. It was really a fascinating experience. And again, people really resonated with it. This idea that we were never going to say Bad Boy's leading the way with a new 3-link suspension and blah blah blah. We weren't going that route with this. It was more about how do you keep doing these things? How do you keep pushing forward? And that's the kind of brand we are. So we did this whole campaign for about 3 years, and now we're starting to kind of morph more into some of the more product-specific benefits and things. But it's been a really fun ride. We continue to make a lot of commercials for them. You'll see some new ones launch over Thanksgiving. Yeah. All right, next assignment. Very simple. Present today's ideas. That's today as well as like every other presentation I've had to do over the years. I think the first time I got this assignment, I was 22, right out of college, and it was nerve-wracking. It was scary because the thought of I have to go in front of a room of people and pitch an idea for why their brand should do something. And from a high school standpoint, this is where my experience with the theater really came into play, right? I was used to being on some stages, to talking to people, to projecting, and being confident even when you're not, right? Just kind of faking it, and I'm kind of like I am right now. And those are the things I learned quickly and early on. So when I was doing that for the first time, I was more prepared to present because of all those years in the theater. So again, one more thing that I wasn't prepared to have help me, that totally did. All right, a couple more here. So this next one, another one for enterprise. This is a really unique assignment. And again, in the advertising world, you get some weird ones and some exciting ones and some not so fun ones. This was a really unique one. So I'm not sure if we have a lot of hockey fans in the room. I know it's not the biggest sport in Arkansas, but it wasn't one of the sports I follow a lot, and I've gotten to be more into it over the years because of this. Enterprise had a National Hockey League sponsorship, okay? And they wanted to bring it to life in a really grassroots way, which means, yeah, you can do a commercial that says, Enterprise, official sponsor of the NHL. But they want to do more than that, right? Let's show hockey fans that we really get hockey culture, that we get what matters to you. So they said, maybe we should create like a 2 to 4 minute branded content piece, which means like an online video or a video you put on YouTube, right? That you promote that to people on hockey websites and things like that. That really shows that Enterprise supports hockey at every single level, from the Pee-wees to the pros. How do we do that? So our team got together, started coming up with some ideas of what that 2 to 4 minute video looks like. And a guy in the room actually shared a story about a place in northern Minnesota that none of us had heard of before. He was a big hockey guy. And he's like, there's this town called Warroad. It's at the northernmost tip of Minnesota, right on the border with Canada, right? And he's like, it's about 2,000 people in this town. And they've produced, I think it's 9 Olympic hockey players, 7 professional NHL players, and like 90 Division I hockey players. Guys going to the Minnesotas and the Boston universities and all the big hockey schools. And they're producing out of a town that's, smaller than where we all live, right? So that was really fascinating to me. And from growing up in Mena, I was thinking about, man, I know what it's like to be in a town this size. That's such a hard thing. How are they doing that? What are they doing in that community that's so unique to push out talent like that? So we actually pitched an idea to the client. We said, what if we pitch a documentary, right? What if we do this almost like ESPN 30 for 30? Or if you watch the Untold documentaries on Netflix right now, the like sports stories and documentaries, what if we do that? And you know, I don't know if I really had the experience to pitch that, but I'd watched a lot of movies, right? So as I told you earlier, I'd watched movies my entire life. I was obsessed with them, so I had a little bit of an idea of how we could structure it. And we did that. We pitched a 2 to 4 minute video. We did it. We went and filmed it. It was great. But as we did it, and we made the road through War Road, we realized we have a lot more footage here than 2 to 4 minutes. We have enough to make like a 30-minute piece. So we pitched that idea too. We said, okay, this is the 2-minute version. What if we did like a full length version, like a 30-minute documentary? And what if we try to sell it to like a media partner? Enterprise liked that idea. They started having some meetings with us and NBC Sports, who was their broadcast partner at the time, and they liked it too. And so the next thing we knew, we were out there filming a documentary and editing that documentary, and none of us had ever done that before. But again, we tried to use our experience of watching movies and just taking a risk, and it worked out. So I'm going to show you guys a trailer for that right now.
No, I hear people say that there's no life in the
So that was a really unique experience, and my job on this project was not only like structure the outline of the documentary, but I actually did all the interviews. So I was the one behind the camera that those people were talking to when I was in the room with them and interviewing them and asking them, trying to get the right sound bites. And I quickly learned that these people were very much like Mena, right? It's a very similar community. They're very tight-knit. As they say, they have all this hockey success, but they're very humble people. They're connected and committed to each other. And I was able to talk to them with that experience of knowing what it's like to be in a town that size, very much on the same level, right? And it was really cool. We connected quickly with everybody I interviewed. So we got to do that. It played very well. It was on NBC Sports multiple nights. So it was a very cool thing. A lot of people didn't even know it was a sponsored documentary, right? They just thought it was like an NBC funded thing, and Enterprise was just the sponsor, which is great because that was kind of the point. We didn't want to feel overly branded. So the Road to World really was like this awesome, for me as a movie fan, once in a lifetime experience. Until it was actually twice in a lifetime experience. I got to do it again with a story called Layla the Next Season. This is for St. Louis Children's Hospital. And another hockey story, right? Which is interesting and kind of helped us get into this. Layla was a little girl who had this really, really rare immune disease. And she was going through a lot of therapies, like therapies that now are being used across the world and changing the way kids like her are treated. And she happens to be a really big St. Louis Blues fan. I don't know how many hockey fans we have in this room, but a few years back, the St. Louis Blues made this amazing, from last place to first place Stanley Cup run. And she was a big part of that story. She was a big fan. There was a big viral video that went all over the Today Show and ESPN and all these other places where she found out she got to go to the playoff games. Because of her condition, it was hard for her to get to go to games. And the doctors at Children's worked really hard to get her there because she's a big fan. It was very, very heartwarming, right? And so it had all this buzz, and they came to us with an assignment. And they said, they came up with an assignment and said, can you guys do a follow-up piece? It's a year later, people kind of want to know how she's doing, is she gonna make it? Like, it's kind of heavy stuff, right? And so we said, yes, we should totally tell that story, but also nobody ever really saw the full story. They saw kind of the vanilla fun, oh, look at this cute little girl who was overcoming cancer, and now she's with the Blues, isn't that great? But that wasn't the story. She never even had cancer. People had the story completely wrong. And so we thought, what if we tell the real story of what happened? Let's talk about the real significance that St. Louis Children's had in finding this diagnosis that changed her life and also is changing the life of kids across the world, and really show this connection and how she honestly did inspire the Blues players. They inspired her. So they liked that idea. We put together a treatment, we put together the outline, we talked about how we tell the story, what it would look and feel like, and the Children's Hospital clients and us met with Fox Sports. Fox Sports really liked this idea. We showed them the War Road documentary. They said we'd just done something like it before, and they said, okay, let's go. So we did it, and here's the trailer for that one as well. And if some of these get kind of dark, it's a little brighter on these TVs. If you're ever having trouble seeing, you can just look over here left to right.
Pretty cool.
When your kid loves the blues so much and that's all she really cares about, then everything is not the blues.
She's inspiring to anybody who's met her and anybody who knows anything about her story.
She's not just a kid that got sick, that got to go to games with them and got to kiss the car. It goes way back. They would do another MRI and I was getting worse. And you just want to know what it is. You just want to fix your kid. You want it to stop. You just want it to stop.
You are just not having an answer, not knowing, and now after a year and a half to finally have an answer is pretty incredible.
It's, of course, a moment where you think to yourself, wow, this is both exciting and I hope this is wrong.
I knew what was ahead. I was told, okay, you're gonna lose your hair. Same.
Is she gonna be alright? Is she out of the way?
I want people to know the whole story of that. I want to know the whole story of her now.
So that platform we played on Fox Sports was in the Midwestern region. Obviously, it was targeted more towards blues fans and people in the state of Missouri and other places, but it did really well. The metrics showed that it was watched way more than most of their programming on the network, so that was really exciting. People wanted to tune in and see what happened in Silver Bowl. So, anyways, thank you. Those were both really special personal projects I got to work on. I'm going to walk you through one last one, kind of how you can see sort of how my high school experiences played into it. Again, Enterprise Brenda Carter is the brand that picks you up, and this is for March Madness. They said, okay, this is awesome. They pick you up. How do we make that brand connection during March Madness? We have a big TV buy that's going to play through all the March Madness games. People are going to see this commercial. We want people to emotionally connect Enterprise with basketball. And that's kind of a tall order, right? This is a car brand, or a brand that has rental cars that pick you up. How are we going to connect that to the game of basketball in a meaningful way? So obviously my years playing basketball really came back into play here. I started thinking about my own personal experiences playing basketball and all those little times you get picked up, right? And that's kind of where the genesis of the idea came from. And there's other guys on our team who play basketball and sports as well, and they had the same thought. You know, there's all these moments when you go out playing a sport that pick you up, right? So let's show how all those little pickup moments lead to the big ones. And then my love of music came into play as well, because I thought, let's just do picture, no words, just music and picture. Some of my favorite commercials and music videos were done that way, right? Where it's just pictures and music. The emotion from our story may take place on the basketball court, but the audience will connect with the same feelings to Enterprise, the storyteller. So watch this one. So we're gonna obviously put that on the times in a high school game. When we're watching March Madness games, there's all these little pickup moments, right? When you're watching March Madness games, kids hit the game-winning shot just like that, and the whole crowd picks them up, and their student fans and their friends. We thought, let's show all those little pickup moments along the way and connect it back to Enterprise. So we got to work with a composer to compose that piece of music. We gave a reference from Hans Zimmer and a few other places to say this is what we're looking for. He put together multiple pieces and worked with a great director to put this whole thing together. I will say one of the fun parts of this for me, it was being a graduate in high school, and they asked, okay, what's the school this kid's playing looking for? I'm like, well, it's MHS. So that's why there's a little insert nod for MHS. Had I been Akron, I guarantee it would have said Akron Tigers on there. I promise I would have run that route. I tried to go for the red and black. They said Enterprise is green and white, man. I'm like, all right, I'll compromise it. We'll go green and white. We'll do MHS. So a little shout out to Mena High School on TV there. So, okay, so we got to go through lots of examples. Hopefully that shows you all how I had a lot of different things in high school. I didn't know where it was going to take me. I took one path through the newspaper journalism world. It pivoted when it didn't really work out with film criticism into advertising. I kind of found myself here, and then all these other things I was interested in came back into play and helped me be successful with some jobs that wouldn't have otherwise. So my hope is that kind of helps you all see, okay, I may not see where all the lines are going, but they might. So again, I came to a meeting like this, and I gave them one big piece of advice, and I'll go back to the same one my mom and dad gave me, right? Start with one thing you love doing, and then you're good at it, right? You can love basketball but not be an NBA player. That was me, right? But find something that you love and you're kind of good at it, and just see where it takes you. Start there. It may not go in a linear line, and that's okay, but at least you have somewhere to start that's based in something you love. Some examples from my own family. My dad and my wife both wanted a job in helping people. They wanted a job where they could help others, and they thought about healthcare as being a great place to go. And they both said, well, when I'm in high school, a place I could start to do that is a nursing home or a retirement home. If I can help elderly people, I can definitely get into this world. If I can have a stomach for that, whatever it may be. My dad loved it. My wife, that wasn't really her thing. So she pivoted into education. She started working with little kids and found out that's where she loved to work. She loved to help kids and learn to read and things like that. So she's an elementary school teacher and preschool teacher, and there's nobody better. My dad went the opposite route. He stayed on that path. He went into the medical world and became a PA, and that's where he was meant to be. My mom, on the other hand, she was trying to figure out when she was your age, what do I want to do? And she knew people would come to her when they had questions about stuff. They just kind of trusted her for advice. So she went into the counseling world, and that's kind of where her path led her. And through a roundabout way, she ended up actually working here at the college, helping kids like you think about what do I do next? And where can I get scholarships? And can I go to school or not? Can I afford it? What is it going to be? She counseled people that way. So again, you can see the roundabout ways these things started with, and everybody started somewhere. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work out, but you'll find your way eventually. So that's kind of my big piece of advice there. So I really appreciate you guys. I think we might have a few questions. If anybody has questions in the room, we can do that. Brenda, I think, was going to lead that or not. But otherwise, thank you guys very much.
Really hard on a project, and then you presented it to a client, and they rejected it. How did you handle that? How did you get over it?
Never happened. I don't know. It happens all the time. Like, honestly, it's kind of like baseball, right? If you're hitting 300, you're doing great in advertising. If 30% of your ideas get through, that's a good thing. Most of the ideas don't get bought. So I can give you an example. You may have seen in the early video, there was a video of Patrick Warburton, the guy who was Putty on Seinfeld. He's been the spokesperson for National Car Rental for years. And I had this idea, and I thought it would be really funny if it was him in the lot waiting for cars. And the whole idea with Nationals, you don't have to wait in the line. You can just skip the line and go. And it was all set to Richard Marx's Right Here Waiting for You. And I thought it was very funny. And this whole thing was set to him, and he was literally saying the words like, I'm not waiting for anybody here at National Car Rental. And he went through it. Everybody thought it was funny. We did this whole animatic. We pitched it 3 levels, and it tested, and it didn't test well at all. So people did not think it was nearly as funny as I did, and my friends did. But that's part of life, right? That's what's going to happen. So the way you deal with this, and I guess another good example would be just the numbers of times we pitched businesses and didn't get it. I remember the brand Insure. Some people in this room know Insure better than others, I'm sure. It's more aimed for people who need some supplements in their life, and it's drinks and all that kind of stuff. We had a pitch to have all of Insure's business, and people cried in the room. They were so touched by the ideas. They applauded us after the meeting was over. There were tears, like, these ideas are amazing. Like, they started talking to us and saying, you know, when we start working together, this is how it's going to be, blah, blah, blah. It was like, great, we won this thing. We left, and we got the call a week later, they owned somebody else. Like, how do you do that, right? But it happens. So you get disappointed, you get frustrated, but you move on. And that's something that my basketball coach always talked to us about is adversity, right? You're going to win some you're not supposed to win. You're going to lose some you're not supposed to lose. And how do you handle that? How do you move forward? And that's kind of how we have to approach it. You can be frustrated down for a bit, but let it make you stronger and keep going. So that's kind of the way you approach it. It's a great question. Any other questions? Cool. All right. Anything else, Brenda? Are you good?
I think we're good then.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I don't know. I think you can folks talk to your leaders here, and you have anything else to say? Okay, well, pass it over. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you all for coming. Before we let you go, please take a moment to fill out the surveys on your tables, and we really, really appreciate you coming out today. Have a great day.